So this one's going to
The
sound
stream is live.
this one's going to sound really funny on a ukulele. And I'll be shocked if you guys get it on the opening riff before I sing.
Miles Davis Bitches Brew.
How'd you know? God, might as well name play it now. All right. I'm having trouble trying to speak.
Here we go.
Matt's hit record. I'm going blank.
I'm shooting blanks.
As time ticks by, Jack starts to cry. Chris left the show 5 minutes ago. Ramblecast, here we go.
Ready to go into a drum solo now.
That might have been your best one yet.
I mean, I got that on the first lick.
Oh, did you?
I recognized it too.
So that's an older song, you know.
It's an older song, but it checks out.
I don't think I've ever cried though on this show. I usually wait till we stop recording.
I don't know that time that you fell.
I didn't cry.
You wouldn't
That's
cry.
right.
How would you
passed out?
Those were tears of blood.
That's true. Well, I know.
Tears
I
of
know.
blood.
I know. I didn't cry because I rewatched it.
Oh,
I didn't know where I was for a while, but that's
you didn't. It was scary. I remember where I was when that album came out because I was working at a music store. So and that album, Dookie, along with Sheryl Crow album, like random albums that would just play, in a music store, and you're just kind of subjected to it. But you're like,
That Dookie album came out like right before.
That wasn't on Dookie though.
That wasn't Dookie though.
Dookie. Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Dooky's the singer.
No,
Yeah,
it's
Green
Dookie's
Day.
the singer.
Green Day's the band.
Oh, Green Day. Okay, that's
Uh,
okay. Now I got it. Don't have to explain anymore. I got it.
Is that the second album that they did?
The second, yeah.
Kerplunk was the
after
first
Dookie.
one.
Or was Brain Stew.
Brain Stew.
Insomniac.
Matt
was
Treese
name
is
of
the
that
first one to comment in the show.
Matt Treese
Nice.
runs basically a DJ.
Yeah, he is
hosts.
DJ.
No, I'm saying,
Yeah.
but he was usually he comments like he's like the 9th person to comment.
No,
That's true. That's true. We're missing Randy tonight.
but I do remember the good times of when Dookie did come out. It was like right before my
Oh my gosh.
8th grade field trip to Washington D.C. Where
Whoa.
What year?
all
What
the
year was
kids-
this? What year did Dookie
That
come
album
out?
was it came out like 93, 94.
95?
And yeah,
Okay,
not,
I already had
Insomniac-
I already had 3 kids, but
Insomniac came out in either 95 or 96. So it's somewhere in there.
Was
Let's
it
see.
Kerplunk before Dookie?
Let's look. February 1st, 1994 was
Really?
Dookie.
94.
Mhm,
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll just flip on over here to a discography. So
That's what's interesting about music, though. Kind of going what Matt was saying is that
Insomniac was 95. So and I was working at the music store when that came out too. So
what was the name of the music store?
it all blends together. Camelot. You remember Camelot?
Kerplunk was 91.
Oh, wow,
Oh, yeah.
Now that was a game with marbles.
It was a game.
it was a game. Yeah.
Dookie, Insomniac.
Pick up sticks and it was like sticks and marbles, right?
Welcome to paradise. The original. That was in
That
Kerplunk.
is what's interesting to me about music. It always hits me when I'm driving. Like I'm doing a road trip, and you have your whatever on random, or if you're streaming music. Sometimes people will yell at me because I'll skip a song. It's good because of the memory that comes in my head associated with that song, and you're like, I don't want to go down memory lane with that right now. And that's what I'm saying. Like Matt remembers exactly when the album came out, and like you have certain things that will bring you exactly back to that moment, or time because you were listening to that song. Like Tonight by Smashing Pumpkins, roughly the same time period.
Great song.
That album to me,
it
was such a
Melancholy and Infinite Sadness.
It was sad, but that
double album,
the double album, 95.
Such a good album.
And I was working at the music store too, because I remember the poster for that and just like all the promo stuff.
Shakedown 1979.
That was
But
great.
I remember listening to that a lot when I worked, at our nursery, our family nursery. Like I would have my Walkman, my big ass yellow Walkman, walking the fields, and
Oh yeah.
And so when I hear that record particularly, it's like, oh, that takes me exactly to that moment.
Do you feel like you're a rat trapped in a cage?
Sometimes, I definitely had the rage part.
Despite your rage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Despite all of it. Yeah.
It was interesting. So I've been I was watching. Why am I mirrored? Am I always like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I can read your shirt fine, so you're not totally mirrored. I guess you are. But...
Well, you can read my shirt.
Yes, I can read mine.
Star Wars,
yeah,
right?
You're fine. Yeah.
It shows me as mirrored on my screen.
You can change your own.
I can.
Yeah.
That's just fucking with me right now.
Yeah. It doesn't change it for us. It only changes it for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird.
Cool. Weird.
Yeah.
Anywho, so this, I started jumping on TikTok back in when the pandemic started, right? And that was kind of like my intro to TikTok, something to do. And I very quickly came across the page of this guitarist, this heavy metal, like super smoke show Asian chick who just rips on guitar, and she plays in a bunch of different metal bands, and she's always on TikTok posting videos of her just doing these crazy riffs or whatever. She got chosen to be their guitarist for their current tour. So she's been touring with Smashing Pumpkins all summer, and it's fucking awesome. Will Fry says, well, this is awkward. I'm wearing the same Star Wars shirt. Nice, dude. I think this might be a Old Navy special.
You guys need to call ahead in the future.
I think you were wearing the same Star Wars shirt like a couple of weeks ago.
I probably was. I have a rotation of shirts that just until they get holes in them, I wear them.
Isn't it weird though how t-shirts go like that? Like
Yeah.
like I look back at old photos of me and I'm like, oh, whatever happened to that t-shirt? I'm not even like looking at myself or like I'm just like, oh.
So
Whatever happened to that guy?
So I'm just coming off the heels of my trip to Red Rocks. I almost said Red Rocks. The Gorge Amphitheater this past weekend, and one of the things I say quite often, especially when I'm under the influence, if I'm in a place that's amazing, I'll say, "Dude, this place is sick." Like that's like kind of like one of my lines. Like, "Dude, this place is sick," right? So my friends and my wife all went and took a picture of me from the Gorge 3 years ago. And made up T-shirts that said, "Dude, this place is sick." And they all wore them to night one of the concert that we're at. It got a bit of attention, so much so the fact that when they went up to the beer line and they're like, "Oh, is he still with us?" Like they thought I was dead, and they're like, "No, he's right there."
Oh, so he is dead. Okay,
no, I'm right here. I'm like, this place is sick.
It was like an in memoriam.
Yeah,
Chris. They were all like, "Oh, I guess we should wear these shirts since he died."
Man, I'll tell you though, we fucking lucked out. The place I picked for us to stay was absolutely fucking incredible. If you want to Google search for those at home, Crescent Bar, which is in Washington State. We literally had we rented an Airbnb condo on the Columbia River.
Nice.
And I got to swim during the day in the river and then drive to the concerts at night and have a blast. It was that place is fucking breathtaking, and I worry that might be my last trip there unless I don't know, we figure something out with the kids, and because it's Labor Day weekend is a really tough time to travel, especially for my wife who works in a school. So it's like we're pressing our luck a little bit with this trip. But it was so worth it, man. If you need a place to go for a concert experience and you have the time and money to go to the Gorge Amphitheater in Washington State. It is an absolute fucking breathtaking experience. And after this trip, I can confidently say that between this trip and the previous one, we stayed at a different town last time, equidistant to the venue, but the place we stayed at, Crescent Bar, was just absolutely breathtaking. I haven't been back to work yet. I actually had a few days off when I got back from the trip, so this is like my
nice.
Sunday scaries night is tonight. I have to go back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
But my goodness, man, it was a fucking treat. That place is just absolutely incredible. I'll try and
Yep.
pull up a picture of Crescent Bar.
I'll be there. Not more I'll be in Washington anyway. One day. Gotta go to Spokane.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Spokane,
so
Washington.
Spokane's about 2.5 hours away from where we stayed.
Yeah.
It's kind of way up in that northern east coast or no, northeast part of Washington. So, yeah, I've driven around lots of parts of Washington. So it's kind of amazing how the Columbia River Gorge kind of goes up, or the
Oh,
Columbia
my
River
goodness.
actually it kind of goes up and kind of curves around like that. So
But I mean, we talked about this definitely like a year ago when I went and did my tour of Oregon. Was I just can't imagine being like Lewis and Clark or anyone
Mhm.
going.
Oh yeah, dude.
Coming from Idaho, coming from the eastern part of Washington and Oregon, and then all of a sudden you get over and it's just like what the because you're literally in almost desert, and then it's just beautiful,
Yeah.
green and lush and water
I mean,
everywhere.
and they were lucky because like the roads were already
The
paved.
roads.
Like they didn't have to worry about
There was no
construction.
toll roads either.
there was no road. Yeah, it was just wide
Yeah.
open road. There was no
Every
traffic,
5
just
pelts
pulled over
to
to
go through.
7-Eleven. Those things are everywhere. Yeah.
except they did get tired of all of the salmon jerky. So
Yeah, that's true. Well,
yeah, you
So
know,
this
that's
is
all
where
they
we
had.
stayed.
Didn't they lose? They lost their.
That
Didn't
looks
they lose
great.
their supplies somewhere along
I
the
think
line?
well they did
They lost
as
their
they
horses.
were crossing. I think the I can't remember if it was the Cascades or the Rockies, but yeah,
I watched
this is-
something on it. It was pretty cool.
the Ken Burns documentary on
That's
on
what it
Lewis
was.
and
Ken
Clark.
Burns. That's
It's
what it was.
really good. It's really good. So, but
Yeah,
anyway,
this place is nuts.
right now, Chris is showing us amazing photos of the gorge and where he stayed at, so we can all
Yeah.
be jealous of his life of
We-
luxury
I
and just
drank
flying
about-
away. And
I
Are those
drank
the
about
cliffs of Dover right there?
45 beers right here in this little vicinity.
oh,
Ah,
nice.
That's why the water looks a little murky.
I was gonna say, yeah, you just peed it all
Murky.
out, right?
Yeah, dude, it was something else. This place is great. It's like the place that we stayed at was actually like, I think if I can pull up the pictures, whatever. It was nice. It was fucking beautiful. And of course, like, the only downfall to going to the gorge for concerts is that if you don't camp on site, which fuck that. I could never do that shit. Like even if you rented a camper or RV, still I wouldn't do it. The only other downside to
Why?
the experience of it's just gross and hot and
Okay,
dirty
so
and
no
no
shower.
accommodation.
Not in
So,
early
yeah.
20s anymore. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's the
Well, if you
unfortunately.
had a camper motorhome, you could take a shower.
Yeah, you can rent them and they drop them off for you and all. But it's like I don't know. I
Okay,
like
I'm just
being
throwing
able to. I like being able to like chill out and relax and
Yeah,
go somewhere
like
to
kinda
fucking
walk
river
away
and drink beers if
yeah.
I want to.
Mm.
I get you.
The only thing that sucks is like the closest places to stay are like 45 minutes away.
Mhm.
That's where we were. So like, but what's funny is you can actually, when you're at the gorge, you can just almost see where we stay. It's only 8 miles downriver, but it's 27 miles driving.
Yes.
Because you have to
That's-
like drive all
Yep.
the way inland and coming
Mhm.
back around to what you were saying, Nick. It's just this weird desert area, and the amount of farmland out there is just amazing. Like potatoes and apples, and I was looking up all the names of the different plants as I was driving by them, and I was like, man, this is a lot of fucking food coming from this area. But it's an amazing place. You got to check it out at least once in your lifetime if you dig the outdoors and outdoor music. It's absolutely fucking breathtaking. So check it out. The Gorge Amphitheater in George Washington.
And then, as you guys know, I as well went to one of the other cathedrals of music a couple weeks ago, and I went to Red
Yes.
Rocks and saw John Fogerty, which was excellent.
That's
Which was-
awesome.
He was one of those guys that I, for some reason, had just never gotten around to seeing, and I was like, you know what, I got to see him. He's 79, and actually, I hope to God if I make it to 79 years old, I have that kind of energy. It's just like,
Yeah.
how? Like, where do they find it? Like, just to run around stage.
Drugs, man.
Yeah, I guess it is drugs. Yeah.
It's drugs.
But it's actually a really interesting tour because he's calling it the Celebration Tour, and it's because he actually told quite a few stories on stage, and they weren't necessarily about why he wrote a song or things. It was more about like the first one he talks about is he pulls out his guitar that he wrote majority of all the CCR songs on. And I didn't know this about him, is that, he goes, like in 72, he goes, we were on the road, and for some reason, my roadie gave away my guitar to some kid. It was like, oh, can I have something of John's? And he gave him the guitar, my guitar. He goes, and I didn't see it for 40 some odd years. He goes, then my wife, which was his second wife, somehow found it in Ohio and bought it for him, and then put it under the Christmas tree. And
wow!
And he,
so 40 years later, it was in Ohio, just like a
just some guy had it. Yeah, I don't know if it was the original guy that the roadie gave it to, or if it was just passed down or whatnot. And he didn't really get into how she got it back. All he said was that she found it, and it was the best Christmas gift he ever got. Yeah, and
and she
then
also no, just
right.
No evidence.
She's doing a little some extra. Yeah, no.
And that person in Idaho is now deceased.
Yes. And then another story which I thought was neat, because I always knew that that he had, I think, second to Aerosmith. He has the worst contract ever in the history of music.
Huh.
And
not Prince.
Prince signed that after, so he still signed a bad deal, but just your initial contract, and he never owned his songs. He had to actually pay when he performed his own songs, and that's why he refused to do CCR songs for so long. And so this is the tour where he actually owns 100% of everything. It took him his entire life to own his own art. And he was so happy. He did every single CCR hit, and I was definitely the youngest person by far there. But it was still a nice show. But he said, he goes, a lot of people think that how'd you get your songs back? And he goes, a lot of people like to think it was just legal or something like that. He goes, no, I just outlived the bastards. That's how I got it. But it was a good show. I really enjoyed it. I had reverse effect of how it's always, especially it's something like the Gorge or something, it's like a field type area, you always have people that do a little too much drugs, they drink a little too much, and they pass out, they're on the ground, and you kind of walk around them. Well, the benches at Red Rocks are huge, and when I got there, this burnout hippie was sitting there next to me. He's like,
burnout hippie?
Yeah, he's like, hey man, you got anything? And I'm like, no. And he's like, I'm in looking for some gummies all night. And I was like, well, you're in Colorado, it's not like you couldn't have found them on the way here, and he was fine. But then his wife showed up, and she was a what we call a concert clinger. You don't pay attention to the music. You just have your arms wrapped around the guy's neck the entire show, kissing
one of those,
She's a burned out flower child.
Yeah, that's exactly what she was. And about 8 songs in, I'm standing up listening, and I turn around, and she is laid out on the bench, just passed the fuck out.
So she found the gummies.
She found the guy. Yeah,
she found all of them.
All the gummies. Yes.
She's actually hiding them in a special place. Anyway, speaking of that aspect, the concert that I went to, there was the male version of the clinger where it's just like, I brought you to this concert, and now I'm going to try to have sex with you right here. It's just like, what the fuck? Take your bumping and grinding in somewhere else. What this isn't Dirty Dancing in the 60s here. What the fuck is this about? But
so you're killing their vibe is what you're doing.
To your point, Nick, it reminds me and you watched the Henson documentary, but it reminds me of that, what you were talking about, Fogerty and buying back or getting back his music, because Jim Henson was in a predicament where basically the Muppet show and all of this property was going to be gobbled up essentially by this other larger company, and he went through and bought it back. It was it was really kind of a cool moment where even his wife, who I don't think they were together at that time, but she was just like, no, you have to do this, you have to secure this, so
I mean, and I like that in that documentary where it actually either he writes it down or he tells his kids directly. Like, this is probably a very dumb move because he was basically mortgaging everything. He put every dime he had into buying everything back. And if it hadn't panned out, then they would have been on the street, and it's just like, wow. Like, what a risk.
So he risked it all to get back the creative ownership of his own art, which is just
sucks. Awesome.
But also badass though, too. Like he pulled it off. So
but he signed a deal for upfront money first, and then it became popular.
I think it has to do with the person who funded the Muppet Show in England. I want to say it has to do with that person because after he was passing, or there was something happening with that. Watch the documentary. It's worth it. It's on Disney Plus. Directed by Ron Howard, and he was recently, I don't know, a couple months ago on Conan, and there's a great moment where Ron Howard was talking about this Henson documentary, and he was like, it's just nice working on something where there's not a dark side, there's not a bad side, there's not a like, oh well, and then he got addicted to heroin and beat his wife.
Right.
It's like that just doesn't happen with Jim Henson, and it's kind of an amazing story to kind of just watch.
Which on the absolute opposite end of the spectrum, there's a documentary coming out on Netflix in September, and it is September. Fuck me, god damn it! At the end of this month, about Vince McMahon.
Oh,
yeah.
That is going to be interesting because he is a piece of shit, and things turned real fucking bad for him. But should be very interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I saw that.
Going back to like Matt's saying about with the dark side, like it is funny how like I don't think they should ever make a musical movie, like a documentary music movie, for a long, long time, because they all started with Buddy Holly in the late '70s with actor Gary Busey.
Gary Busey, yes.
Yeah, Gary Busey did it, and then like you have every other one since.
Won an Oscar.
He did win an Oscar, but like you have Ray Charles, you have
La Bamba.
Well, La Bamba actually probably breaks
very good
that trend, but like all of them are the same story. Like the one with about Freddie, the Queen one, all of them are the same. It's like the struggle.
Almost Famous.
They get into drugs. They have all hot hits. Then it's the struggle to get off the drugs, and then it's like, and then it just ends after they get off the drugs. It's like, and then they continue to make great music for the next 20 years. It's like, did they really though? After they quit the drugs? Walk Hard.
Matthew Tree says Walk Hard ruined those movies.
Yes. I was just thinking of that, Walk Hard, with John C. Reilly. That is worth a watch and hilarious. So hilariously accurate in some ways, but I love his Bob Dylan Stream of Consciousness song that he does on that. So there's a lot of funny shit in that. So
it's funny how I think we've talked about this before too in the past. Like, it's funny how a comedy like that, it's almost a mockumentary, can ruin a genre of films, because that's what even the guy who just finished playing James Bond,
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig talked about that years ago, like around 2008 or so. That he said that Austin Powers ruined James Bond.
Right.
He's like, because he goes, it used to always be a nice blend of wit, comedy, and action. And he goes, but Austin Powers, with all these just one-liners and over-the-top comedy, they had to go Jason Bourne because of they didn't want it to be silly.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at the Bronson, GoldenEye and everything. Like it kind of like GoldenEye is really strong, and then it starts to kind of like each movie kind of gets a little bit weaker and weaker, just as Austin Powers is kind of on the rise there in the 90s. Because I want to say the last of the trilogies comes out in 99 or something like that.
Well, no, the last one's, which a lot of people ignore or forget because they want to forget it, which is Die Another Day, which is absolutely horrible.
Oh no, I meant the Austin Powers one.
Oh, the Austin Powers, the first two were good, and then Goldmember was just kind of
I thought they were all funny.
I thought they were funny.
No, I mean, there's definitely parts to them that are funny, but it just didn't work the way.
What's the one where he has the cart and he's stuck in the hall?
That's the first one.
That's the first one.
Is that the first one? I love that scene. It's so funny.
Dude,
You know,
whenever I take a piss and it's a long one, evacuation. Nope. Evacuation. Evacuation. Nope.
Did you ever see that? Did you ever see that? It's a video. I've only seen it probably 2 times where it's a guy, it's a husband goes into it's a husband and wife, and the wife's doing her makeup, and he has one of those round barrel-shaped igloo coolers, and he just puts it on and like lets the stream go into the toilet, just to see how long.
Oh, I have seen that. That's actually really funny.
Yeah.
She's like, Jesus Christmas.
Gotta go. A lot of beer. 45
Will
beers.
Fry says, as bad as the third Austin Powers movie was, I'd go see a new one tomorrow if it happened.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree with you 100%. Will. I never did see The Love Guru.
It's terrible. I didn't see
I
it
can
either.
only
But I
imagine.
know
that was from with Tim Meadows, right?
No,
it's still
no.
him. It's still
No, it's
Mike Myers.
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Mike Myers. Okay.
Well,
you know what?
Mike-
You know what's even worse? You know what's even worse than that? Is taking a commercial break,
True.
especially because it's the first one out of a trilogy.
All right, Matt Treese, which was the Tim Meadows one? I think it was from.
Oh,
his
I love that
Saturday-
movie. Oh, that's the
Saturday Night Live one.
yeah, baby, Ladies Man.
Ladies Man. That's what it
Oh,
is. Yeah.
yeah.
I like the
Yeah.
Ladies Man. Yeah.
Ladies
Oh,
Man was
that was
okay.
fun.
Yeah.
I think it was
I
like
don't think I ever saw The Love Guru.
wasn't
No.
it Pootie
Yeah.
Tang? Wasn't it? Wasn't it?
That was
something
another.
like
That was a separate.
Pootie
movie.
Tang was something else.
Okay, that wasn't.
That was
Ladies
with
Man?
that was with what he was in jail at first, right? Pootie Tang was. What's the name of that actor?
I don't.
I
No.
still say
Not real jail.
Oh,
I still say that line. That's one of my favorite stupid lines from that movie.
Chris Rock. Pootie
uh,
Tang.
Pootie, yes, right.
Mm.
It is.
Pootie
Thank
Tang?
you,
I'm
thank
thinking
you.
someone else.
Because he would walk up to a woman
Lance
like,
Crowther.
"Yo, baby, I want to take you out for a fish sandwich." Like, I don't know
Yeah.
why I thought that was the dumbest but funniest line.
So speaking of other comedies and kind of a comedy documentary, I have watched half of Unfrosted,
oh,
Oh, right.
okay.
and holy shit, dude! Like, if you blink, you're gonna miss a cameo of like another A-list actor, B-list actor, some C-list actors, definitely D-list actors. But like,
Yeah.
of what I've seen thus far, how did they make this movie? How do they pay for it with all these actors that are in it? I mean,
Well,
there's
it's a
ton.
Seinfeld project, right?
Yeah.
He's worth
No.
$1 billion.
But it's also so Chris, did you find like the jokes were kind of coming in like whoosh, whoosh,
I loved it. I'm
Yeah.
loving it. I should say.
Okay.
It's been really good. Like, the jokes are it's very witty, and it's very like there's a ton of like if you don't listen to the entire dialogue, you're gonna miss some of the intention.
I finished watching it and almost kind of wanted to watch it again because I felt
Yeah,
like I
just
was
to go
I
back
was
and
gonna
listen to 'em.
miss some stuff. But
Telling me to watch. Someone was telling me to watch it. and I can't
Super
remember
funny,
what.
man.
We've talked
I-
about it before.
Matt-
You, Matt?
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
I'm the only one here that's watched it, and I've encouraged
Super
you
duper
to-
funny, man. Like, I'm gonna watch the second half of it tomorrow during my lunch. It's
great.
I'll
It's a
add it to my
recommend.
list.
At
It's
least
recommended.
someone
wait.
listens to my
So your
recommendation.
first day back at work, you're just gonna be like, "Hey guys, I gotta go watch this thing."
No, at my lunch breaks, I get the hell out of Dodge. I go sit at Whole Foods and watch a movie or TV show
Eat
while I
all
eat.
bar the whole
That's
time.
good. That's a good reset.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes just finding that extra place away
Got to
from
get away from the customers.
Yeah, truth.
I only had an app for that.
I always try to find so the lunchroom at my work can be a mixed bag. Like sometimes you're like, oh, I like this person, I want to talk to them. Sometimes you're like, I got nothing to say to you. I got nothing. Like, and sometimes there's the people that are just kind of like, I really don't want to fucking talk to you.
Yeah,
So I have, I have like kind of a big gap between my two classes. It's an hour and a half. And it's too hot to go out and sit in my car. But I've arranged in my classroom this like kind of false wall where I can actually like sit and like nobody knows that I'm in there. Because I don't have an office because I'm low level adjunct.
So
They
you
don't give
hide
me-
behind this wall?
I gotta get this. Yeah, it's kind of like this rolling
Divider.
billboard. Yeah, it's like this rolling billboard thing. And then I have just like this little table right behind there with like a little chair, and I can sit and eat my lunch in peace, read The Hobbit.
Well, as long as
fall
you're
asleep.
happy, man. That's
I
Read The
am,
Hobbit?
because nobody can find me. What's up?
You reading The Hobbit?
I'm reading The Hobbit. So
You must have been gone that episode. We talked about that.
my son finished it. He's on to Fellowship, but I'm just
Good for him. The Hobbit's a tough to get through.
they have
Oh, yeah.
some long chapters for sure.
And that's what's always funny to me when I read The Hobbit. It's like, how is this a fucking children's book? Like,
No, it's not.
It's amazing some of the things that are completely different from the movie or what the movie has you believe were to happen. And The Hobbit, I mean, they beefed up the movies, so much to make it a trilogy that there's just so much stuff that's added. And if it's really stripped down, it could be a really solid one single movie, like if you really wanted to,
there's elements that they added to The Hobbit which I really like, and
Mhm.
I will probably go to the grave going, it should have been 2 movies. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because there's just so much.
I would have said 1.
I mean, I would have been all
There's
for
an
just
argument for
one true to book Hobbit film. I would have been fine with that. But if they wanted to add in some of that lore in there to kind of give a little bit more into Lord of the Rings, which they did at some aspects, I was like, oh, I like that. I like that little addition there. Like it was good. So, but to me, 2, and that's it.
Sure.
And I think I've talked about that, like where it should have
Different.
split. It's like, and you could have just, and then instead of having it 3, because 3 is just too thin.
Yeah, well, and just some of the stuff that they added, like the movie would have you believe that every time Bilbo puts on the ring, he's like being summoned by Sauron, and he's gotten he's slowly growing darker and darker. When you read the book, that ain't in there at all. Like he actually wears the ring for almost 2 weeks when he's trapped in the elf like palace or whatever. It's just like he's not corrupted at all. He's just like, hey, I found this.
He's like, this ring's fucking sweet, dude.
Yeah,
And
he actually tells the other dwarves.
off.
He actually tells the other dwarves, he's like, yeah, this is how I saved you from the spiders. And they're like, you're kind of a badass. And they're like, we like you. And he's like, man, maybe I'm pretty good at this burglar and shit. And then they go on and, do other adventures. But I've really enjoyed the book. And I think I've said this on the podcast as well. The audio book is read by Andy Serkis. So worth listening. And I'll read, and then sometimes I'll kind of listen to the chapter. So, but anyway, that's my Lord of the Rings Hobbit update. Jack, you've been so quiet. I feel like we've.
Well, no, I was trying to figure out it was Eddie Griffin. It was Undercover.
Oh, Undercover Brother's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, because I think they say Pootie Tang in that. But that's what I was thinking about. Undercover Brother, Eddie Griffin.
It's another one. Like there's so many.
Once I figured out the name, I looked for him.
There's so many low budget comedy movies that came out in the 90s and 80s, but that were never going to be massive blockbuster movies, but they're still damn good.
Yeah, they're funny.
And,
I mean, that's a funny movie. I haven't seen it probably 20 years, but it was funny. But we were talking about James Bond, and I finished The Gentleman.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Outstanding, great recommendation, Chris. It was. I enjoyed it. A couple thoughts. Figured out that Freddie is terrified of Eddie. I mean, he's afraid of him. And that one scene at the end where he says, I think because Eddie is more. I think the reason he was left, to be the Duke was because he's like his dad. His dad was probably, just like Eddie is. Where Freddie's a fuck up, and he's he's blah blah blah, and he's immature,
right?
But he's afraid of him, because anytime he would go, he'd go Freddie, and he would stop. And that scene where he says, where we shot, that was it a deer or an elk or something like that?
It could be a dad complex too, though.
Yeah, it could be, but he says, I killed him, but he was still breathing. I couldn't do it, and you went up there with the knife and just went and didn't blink twice.
Right.
Sherry, we're referring to the show.
I think only Chris has watched the movie version.
Yeah,
No, I've seen the movie too.
No, only Chris.
Oh, okay.
Only Chris
Right.
saw it,
That's
I think.
true. I should give Chris his due. He never gets any.
No,
But
I think he was talking about it maybe the last podcast.
He was. Yeah. Or
my biggest fear of the show going into season 2, can they still deliver with the twists and turns?
right.
Because it has a lot of twists and turns. Will it? Because a lot of shows can't do that. They try, and it comes back. You go, all right, whatever, blah blah blah. They tried. It becomes a gimmick, but I'm hoping they can do it. It was outstanding. I thought it was great. But I did want to say that Theo James, who plays Edwards, he should be the next Bond.
He
I think
could be
they've
a
already
good
picked.
Bond.
I think they've already picked the next James Bond.
Have they already picked the next Bond?
I mean, sadly, it's not who I want it to be, but I'm pretty sure.
Who is it?
I'm pretty sure it's the kid that played Quicksilver, the one that died.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
Huh.
He also was in Kick-Ass when he was younger.
What's his
Aaron
name?
Taylor
Aaron
Johnson.
Taylor. Yeah, that's it.
I was just the way he was. I said he's badass, good looking, and he's got the British accent. Of course, he's British. And I go, he'd be a perfect James Bond.
See, to me, I think James Bond should go away for a while. I think it's a. I mean, it's a controversial opinion. No, I mean, I've been for like 20 years.
Okay. Easy for you. I'm 62.
But like the way I think of James Bond,
Nope.
like I think of Superman. Like in that James Bond is a 20th century character where things are black and white, and it's like Superman in DC. Most DC comics, aside from Batman, are very black and white. Like this is good, this is evil. And right now we're kind of in that. As far as shows, everything's in a gray area, and because hell, you can even see it right now with the new Rings of Power show, which I don't watch, but they're actually trying to humanize fucking orcs, and it's like, are you serious?
You should watch it.
I haven't seen it yet, but
Have you seen season 1?
No.
You won't watch it.
well, I don't know. I just haven't. No, it's not my priority. It's not like I'm against it. I just know it's one of those shows that I know they don't have the rights to Tolkien. So to me, it's basically just fan fiction. So that's why I don't watch it.
I enjoy it. I mean, what else? What other Tolkien are we getting?
I don't know.
Like, you know what I
well,
mean?
that's
Like,
not true. We're getting a new movie coming out in a couple of years. The Search
yeah,
for
sure. Yeah, we're gonna
Search
get
for
that
Spock?
live action. Yeah, the Search for Spock, search for Gollum, like because he's so cool. We just need to see more of Gollum. And then also there's gonna be like some anime movie based on a story from the Silmarillion. It's very anime looking, and I'm excited because it's something, but it also just kind of feels like it doesn't really. I don't know. It feels like loose connections. So
Speaking of anime, I think it's on Netflix. I've only watched the first 2 episodes, but if you have the time and you're a Terminator fan,
oh yeah,
Terminator Zero is actually pretty good.
You'll watch that. I see.
Yeah, I'll watch that. Yeah. And then I had recommended to Jack a week ago or so on Netflix as well. It's a documentary style story of the true events of Tombstone. It's called Wyatt Earp and the Cowboy War, and that's pretty good.
I saw the first episode.
Yeah. If you like,
I liked it. I thought it was good.
I feel like
Matt K in the chat wants us to talk about American Horror Story. I don't know if any of
I don't
us have
think you
watched
watched
that.
that. I haven't watched American Horror Story since 2015.
Yeah, I watched
Been
the
on
first
that
3.
long?
It's
Yeah,
been
I
on
watched
for a
it.
while.
I watched the first 3 seasons. That's
Yeah, the last one I watched was the circus one.
I haven't seen any of it.
One show that I was watching that kind of relates to the James Bond thing is I've been watching Inside Job on Netflix. It's a cartoon. So far, there's like two seasons. Deals with a lot of like conspiracy kind of theory stuff. Secret government kind of but it's all kind of a cartoon spoof. It has a little I guess element of Rick and Morty in the fact that like the father-daughter relationship is kind of fucked up like the Rick and Morty situation. But other than that, like I don't see any kind of like strong similarities to Rick and Morty. But anyway, there's an episode on Inside Job where they make fun of the James Bond trope. And it was kind of a fun episode because at the end they're like, look, you're just misogynistic and you're like kind of stalkery and just obsessed with, so it really kind of turns the whole story on its head. So it's kind of fun.
Matt Treist in the chat coming in hot again saying the next James Bond movie will be the first with His Majesty.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I thought about that way.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Well, maybe.
What
You know
what's
something-
gonna what
you
do
know
you have
something about
inside?
Charles?
Do you have inside information here?
He has cancer.
Oh,
Wait, let me go back to the chat here.
that's me.
Let's see. Step 1, be rich. Step 2,
what was it?
I don't know, be a king. You know, these people get the best health.
Oh yeah, like I saw an article the other day about him.
And
How the
Camilla's
royal
not gonna be
family,
queen.
the
right?
royal
Sorry.
family is allowed a stipend for every year from the government,
Oh.
and they basically like doubled Charles's and like it's like the amount of money he gets per year is ridiculous.
Really?
Huh.
He's
I
not
mean,
even popular. He's not
it's-
popular.
Yeah, but
You
it's just
don't
more,
have to be popular to get money.
Well,
Come on.
I think it helped. I mean, it's
Okay.
I don't know, but people came to see the Queen. Are they going to see Charles?
I forgot about him.
Yeah, people don't
Yeah.
like him.
well, yeah, he's a prick.
Well, I mean, once he dies, then they'll
He's a
be his
douche.
son.
But he's not. I mean, he's not. I guess it would still be his because what's his name will take over.
Yeah,
William.
Prince. What's his face?
William.
Yeah, Prince
William.
William.
He wants to go by Liam now, though. I'm joking. I don't know.
Will he
Speaking
fight,
of
will he
Liam-
fight with his brother?
Yeah, right.
The Gallagher brothers. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So the Oasis
Rumored.
back to get not rumored. It's happening.
Well, yeah, and like a
They
tour.
sold tickets.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure,
concerts can be canceled.
They can be canceled. Yeah. So they sold out a dozen concerts between the UK and Ireland
Yeah.
for 2025.
Who
And
knows?
The rumor has it that that's going to come to the States. as
Rumor
well.
has it.
So
Oh man, that
um,
would be.
I thought about trying to make it work to go to Ireland to go see them, but
Have you ever been there?
yes, yeah.
I saw them on tour with the what's the story Morning Glory tour. So I feel like I'm
did.
good.
Oh,
Like, I'm
all right.
good.
Because
You
they broke
saw
up
him in the prime.
They broke up like
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago, right?
15 years ago. Yeah.
It feels like 20.
But without them, you don't have the Beatles. So
Without them, you don't have the Beatles. If we're working in reverse.
Yeah.
So yeah, my son was. We were playing some Beatles today, and he was just like, "Yeah, kids at my school like they don't think Beatles is rock." And I'm like,
Fuck those kids.
those kids don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
no, they don't. Yeah.
So like, if you don't have the Beatles, you don't have a reinvention of rock as it happened in the 60s.
Beatles have a rock band game
Yeah, just for them. Yeah.
for their own. They have their own rock band game.
He had the second half of Abbey Road in his head today, and I was like, oh, let me put that on.
Yeah.
And then we were listening to the deluxe edition that they released a couple years ago, and there's some pretty fun outtakes. But
Hmm.
Abbey
Well,
Road still
most
holds
kids
up.
his age probably don't even know who the Beatles are.
Right. Well, I mean,
True.
I didn't
some
probably
do,
at his
but-
age either. Because what is he at 14 now, Matt? What is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? How do you know my kids' ages? Just
Good memory.
you do. You have a good.
Last week you said your daughter
Because
was
Nick's a
17.
stalker.
Soccer,
Yes.
yeah.
I'm a stalker on a show in which we record every week and talk about each other's families.
Exactly.
So
Nick
no,
does
I
have
know
a good
more about
memory.
your guys' families than I know my own, for crying out loud.
I mean, I remember when the anthologies came out, though. I mean,
oh,
in that time, though, that's
Mhm.
when the last person I went to listen to in my early teens or mid-teens was a band from the '60s. And because I used to listen to Nirvana, even though they're dead at that time, and so many other, like I said, like Smashing Pumpkins, Green Day. There's so many other bands that were relevant that I was listening to, and I remember my dad's favorite Beatles song is "She Came Into the Bathroom Window."
oh yes.
And I remember him buying Anthology 3, putting it in, and it's that really slow kind of demo version of it. And I'm
Yep.
like, what the hell is this? It's just, she came in. It's just like, what is this? I was like, these guys suck. Yeah. So that was kind of.
Did you get slapped?
Well, no, actually, I think he agreed with me too because he was expecting Abbey Road, and it's like,
Oh, okay.
what is this? Because
Well, it's interesting because I do like those alternate takes
I do
because
too,
they
yeah.
throw in different lyrics, which is always fun. It's like, well, this is a different version. This is, and it's all you get. There's nothing more.
That's why I like the Fleetwood Mac Rumors re-release with all the extra tracks at the end. I've heard
There's
that
like
before.
there's like 3 different versions of that. You have like the deluxe, you have the super deluxe. Yeah, like
It's
there's
awesome.
so many that's just ridiculous. Like track upon track upon track.
I like all the rough cuts that they just saved and reused. It's fucking cool.
Yeah. Sometimes I just like to look out. I go outside and I look up at the sky and I say, "Mirror in the sky, what is love?"
Does it answer you?
Sorry, that's not on rumors.
Does it come back to you and say, "Well, actually, I'll tell you after this commercial"?
You
It
can't do
does.
that. You're not the producer.
It sounds good.
We're doing another commercial.
Okay,
We're covered now, aren't we?
No, I think we have to do 3 now.
I have to do 3. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta do
Colleen
3.
dropped the hammer. It's like, no, you have to do 3 now.
3.
Because I started to listen to the last week's, the one I missed,
Yeah.
and it just boom, like right from the start. As soon as you hit play, you have like a commercial. I'm like, what the fuck? And then you got to talk for like 5 minutes, and then the damn commercial is like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not want to listen to this shit.
She did apologize when she posted that I think there was some commercials thrown in. I don't know. I only took one
Do we
commercial
get
break
good commercials?
this time.
Like, what are our commercials? Or
I
is it
think they
specific to a
changed-
listener?
I think they changed depending on the
Regional.
region the person is.
That's pretty cool.
Because I've definitely gotten I've gotten the Hoosier lottery before, and I'm always like, how do they fucking know?
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Especially if we're talking about like something like, hey, don't listen to this asshole. And then we take a commercial break.
Another show you guys might like. I'd never heard of it. When my parents came last week, and while I was working, they were just cruising through Netflix and found this show called The Terror, which I had never heard of, and it sounded like a horror film. It's called The Terror, but really it's there's 2 seasons of it, and they've been greenlit for a 3rd season, and you would recognize some of the members of the cast for sure. But it's loosely based on a true story with sci-fi elements put in, and it's about 2 ships that are trying to find the northern passageway, above Canada and to get to China and India, and they get frozen into the ice, and from there, because they don't know what happened really, but they make up different kind of weird sci-fi things that could have driven them crazy, like something's killing them, like all these things like that. And it's decent. It's actually not too bad of a show.
What's it on?
Season 1 I know for sure is on Netflix for free. I think if you're on another, I think if you have Paramount, I think, it's on AMC. Yeah, so if you have AMC Plus, then you can watch both seasons. Okay. It actually is pretty good. I've actually enjoyed it. Because you're not sure if these sci-fi elements are them in their head going crazy, or are they real, or it's an interesting show. Will Fry says
so. It's true these ships got frozen in the ice.
Yes, they found that part is true, and they actually found both ships. I looked it up in 2014, so they were missing for almost 150 years. And they just now found the ship.
They're probably dead.
And they're all alive.
Yeah, they're descendants. It's all then the whole male crew.
I said they're dead. Did they end up eating each other?
Well, I don't know. I haven't gotten that far into the show.
No, they ended up breeding.
I'm assuming they did. breeding for more food. So a baby's softer to eat than
Jesus.
Well, the skin is,
Your kids let you watch their children?
I know.
I'm not begging them.
I started to say earlier when Jack was on the other side of the screen, I know that's a picture of him with the grandkids, but for a little while I thought, is that like a shitload of dolls behind Jack?
He's got a new hobby.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
Ava has a doll she calls Nico. And I tell her she cannot bring it over because it scares the shit out of me. I go, it's
really
a freaky looking doll. I go, I don't say scary shit. I go, I don't want that
doll
me over here. It's like having Chucky.
Wow.
She goes, why? I go, it's scary looking, and everyone agrees with me because it looks kind of real.
Child's Play. That's an underrated horror series.
Yeah,
those are fun.
Child's Play? Are you talking
about?
Yeah,
Chucky.
Chucky.
You think those are underrated? They made a bunch of them. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. They did.
We talked about this too, though. Like, horror films that have been thrown by the wayside or forgotten about. And Child's Play, I think, is kind of one of those. It's like a very niche crowd. Because we were talking about what's the one, Chris, you're talking about with the balls with the teeth that shoot out?
Critters.
Critters, yes.
Great fucking movie,
Yeah,
dude.
we were talking about Critters and some other horror films back in the day.
Oh yeah, fucking Ghoulies,
Yeah.
Critters, Child's Play. All those movies were like scared the piss out of me when I was a kid. They're so good though. Remember Problem Child? Not horror, but same time frame. Problem Child.
With John
Problem,
Ritter,
yeah.
right?
John
Oh,
Ritter. Yeah.
John Ritter,
dude.
yeah.
Fuck, man. There were some great movies back in the day. That's why they keep remaking them.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's.
No
I think
new
that's why
ideas.
they do remake them, is because the plot and the story is good. It's just the technology with a lot of those at the time was not where we're at today. So it's like, oh, like we could make this so much cooler. Because I mean,
Right.
hell, I mean, think about like Arachnophobia, for example.
Yeah.
You know, like those spiders are so
no,
fake.
never watched it.
Oh,
Never fucking
really?
thought about watching it.
Uh,
I would probably lose my shit.
Huh. Okay.
I am.
Yeah. I mean, it
I've
definitely
never
has some
seen it.
creep out
I'm
moments.
not afraid
for
of
sure.
spiders, but I've never.
I
seen
am.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of them.
It. I don't
Well,
like
you know,
it makes
snakes,
me
so, but spiders don't really bother me.
well, I'm more scared of spiders than I am snakes.
I'm terrified of snakes. I don't want to. I don't like to see them. Don't want to know they're there.
Did you like fall into like a snake,
No, I just
like a
don't-
train
I-
car? Like you fall
No,
in there and like
No,
there's
I
a snake,
did. I
and then
did.
you reached
I
in your
did.
shirt and there was like one, you know. And
No, I was on a plane once with a bunch of snakes, but no.
oh, did you tell them to get the fuck off this motherfucking plane?
Yeah, because I did. Not as quite as forceful as the other guy.
Ah,
No, I don't like them. I did touch a boa. Once.
Oh.
Hard
we had a guy.
pass.
We had an animal
were,
guy
were-
come in.
were you in prison at the time?
Yeah, I was in prison. That's not a snake. No. My anaconda. No, this animal guy he's from here. He travels all. He had a snake and an alligator, and
Yeah.
so
No thanks.
I know Matt's got a joke there. Go ahead and say it.
No.
I saw you smirking.
No, no,
Yeah.
that was just me passing gas.
I did start.
to get off of this awkward conversation. Go ahead, Jack.
I did start watching the morning show on Apple TV.
Oh, good.
Oh, you've
Nice.
never seen it?
I'd never seen it. Cindy had watched, but she hasn't watched the final season yet. I said, "Well, let me watch these,
Yeah,
and I'll
yeah.
catch up with you." But I thought it was a comedy.
Oh no.
I thought it was
No.
more of a comedy, and I'm like going. I go, well, I guess because you have Steve Carell, you have Jennifer Aniston, you
It's
have
the Bryant Gumbel. Not Brian Gumbel. What's his name?
Matt Lauer.
Matt Lauer story.
Is that what it's about?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 1000%.
Okay. Well, I know Matt Lauer was. So Steve Carell is Matt Lauer.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, oh yeah. Like it's based on that whole situation.
And Jennifer Aniston is.
Doesn't matter. It's
Okay.
it's just a show
Well, I'm
about.
trying to. He had a female. Was it Katie Couric, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
so.
but I don't think that part of the relationship. How far
like it's
along
not
are you?
it's not like completely
I'm
what?
on episode 4.
I don't want to say
Speaking
the
of-
wrong thing.
Yeah. There's
Speaking
a
of like,
season. I think I made it through halfway through season 2, and I always meant to go through and finish it.
It's good. I like it. It's
The
good.
show I wanted to watch with my wife. I thought it'd be something.
Yeah.
that we-
Well, she still started watching without me. I said, whatever, go ahead.
yeah, well, she also watched Unfrosted without you, but you know,
Yeah,
here it's
you did.
taking Chris's suggestion to finally get you interested. But
Well, I don't think she liked it.
Oh, she didn't, huh?
No,
I knew it was panned a little bit when it came out, but
it was panned, yeah.
I think
she didn't like it, and I heard it was pans. I said, I just kind of gave up on it.
it's worth a watch, especially if you like Seinfeld and
I love Seinfeld.
so
Dude, it's fucking funny. Like it's our humor.
it'll make you laugh.
It's
At some
definitely
point,
our
it's gonna
humor
make you laugh.
and funny.
Yeah.
Highly
All right, I'll get-
recommend.
And then I did start Murders
I
in
didn't
the
even finish the
Building.
goddamn thing.
Yeah,
I'm recommending it.
thanks for bringing
Also,
that up.
it has Hugh Grant in it as Tony the
It does.
Tiger, which is very fucking relevant from our last couple of
Last week.
podcasts.
That's true. I'm just not a fan of Hugh Grant.
Yeah, ever since Tony the Tiger.
It's
got
got
a
Bill
blowjob.
fucking Burr as
Well, if it's got Bill Burr,
JFK.
it's got
That's
it's
true.
JFK.
Forgot about that.
He's a fucking phenomenal JFK. Like
Bill Burr is JFK.
I legit didn't want to mention
Fuck you. Do
some,
it for your country.
some of the cameos because
no, That's legitimately the dialogue that happens.
Oh,
He goes-
really?
He goes, "Didn't you hear my inauguration speech?" I said, "Don't ask me. Ask yourself."
Yeah.
Hey Chris, have you seen that I've only seen it one time. It's like a kind of like a podcast, and it's John Lovitz and Bill Burr kind of breaking each other's balls. And John Lovitz is like going, I can't, again, his that nasal kind of voice. You know what you're doing? Yeah, you know what your
More
whole,
like Jay
you know what your
Leno.
whole fucking act is.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, he's like, basically, you just find something like, so here's Tony the Tiger, right? He ain't shit. He ain't great. Like, he's just doing a whole Bill Barr bit. And then Bill's just like, and then he does the same thing. He's like, well, you know what your fucking act is. And like, they're just kind of going back and forth.
Dude, he's so fucking funny. Like he'll be known as one of the best comedians ever.
And what I like about it, he doesn't hold back. He's not woke, and he keeps going. He goes, you're not going to cancel
What is it
me.
to be woke?
Well, you know what I mean. You make a joke and then people cancel you.
He's not PC.
He's not
Okay.
PC, is what
I
I'm
just
saying.
don't think that everybody that's woke is all about canceling, but I think it's.
Yeah.
I think it's
Well,
like a
that-
synonymous
I think
thing.
there. I think there's.
term
I
has
think.
changed so much in the last 8 years. Of like,
I mean, people will literally go dig up tweets that you tweeted 10 years ago and then hold it against you.
delete your Twitter.
Yeah,
Fuck
I
Twitter.
have to. No.
I cleared out.
I was better off when I was canceled. I was, no, I'm just saying there's people out there that they're opportunists, and if they don't like you, they're going to go after you.
I should delete my Twitter.
And it's from all angles. There's some, to be honest with you, I think they deserve it. But
That's
they
what,
say.
I was giving my boss an earful today actually about I don't get corporate mindset. I never have, and because like we're owned by a French company, my company. And when we started making lots and lots of money, the French then decided like, oh, we want to replace your management with our management, and they're a bunch of French assholes. And they constantly come in and they don't know what we do. They don't know.
They did take over?
Well, no, we've been owned by them for a long time, like I said, but because we don't do things exactly the way they do, because we're an American company that was bought by a French company. And
You don't have a lot of breaks.
we do actually.
Well,
That's one of
the French company would have more breaks, right?
Yeah, they do have more, of course, but like
They
actually, that's
they
one of the
have a
things
tight-
they do.
they have a
They
very
try to give us
tight-
as many holidays as they
Yeah.
have, instead of having the whole month of August off.
And they have a very tight, like, okay, you're off at this time, you're off. Like
Yeah.
you don't have like there's no societal pressure that you have to work until you die and then you're honored in the USA Hall of Fame by
Right.
God and Jesus himself that gives you an AK-47. That's
But-
how I see it, but whatever.
So, but like the way French and European companies do, because they have such a different way of doing business.
I was
is-
just talking about taking a break.
It's almost. We already. Took,
No, I'm talking to Matt.
It's basically one of those things where like it's almost impossible to be fired or be even just like
Yes.
moved in Europe.
So it's a
And-
government job.
They
It'll
talk about
well,
that in Emily in Paris of all things.
right. It's one of those things that basically by the time you're 30, you need to be locked in to the company you're going to be at for the rest of your career, because after that age, it's hard. It's extremely hard to get a job in Europe because it's like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like, why couldn't you, but
That's the way it used to be in the United States.
true. But so what I'm trying to say with these people that they come in and they don't know what we do and they don't know how we run things. And then all of a sudden they start changing and adding like these new positions for their friends. And it's like, oh, like I'm bringing Jack, I'm bringing Matt. And then you fuckers don't know anything about it either.
Well, do I get
And-
paid well? That's all.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. But it's like, it's
How many
only
breaks
in
do
their
I
mi-
get?
I only thought college football coaches were the only people that were allowed to fail up, and
Oh.
that is what they do. They come in and they don't do
NFL
shit.
coaches too. Because
Yeah.
basically you fail at NFL, you go to college and then you fail and then you come back to NFL.
Right. Yeah.
So
And it
Um,
just blows my mind because it's like we were on this hour-long call today and they were showing us all this new reorg chart and all these new people, and we're like, who the fuck are you? Like you just wanted to say that to him, like. And anyway, not to vent too much about work, but it was
Well,
just
it's too bad because you're making money for them and they come in
Right.
derail it.
Right. And that's what they do. And then it's one of those things where they also are granted, because of how high up they are, they're given stock and they're given all this stuff. So even if the company goes under, they get a shit ton of money. It's like, fuck you.
Well, at least you have your podcast career.
That's true. I get that'll pay that. You know.
I brought up Murders in the Building.
Yes.
Oh yes, yes.
It's I'm really enjoying the first two. I was like,
It's been solid. Yeah.
I go, wait, there's not a third episode. I was like pissed.
I have
go,
only
wait.
seen the first episode, I think.
I liked how
so.
they did the Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yep,
Kind of.
that was a cool opening.
And Cindy goes, "Is that how it?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "It's really." I go, "There's no talking. It's just close ups and all this different." She goes, "I would hate that."
Well,
I go,
I
go,
I definitely have liked these first two episodes, you know, and I like that the victim, you know, in this one
The
is
Zach Galifianakis scene
yeah, that's so good. Yeah, oh, I see what
with
you're
Martin
saying.
Short
Yeah,
is so good. Actually,
It
that
was-
whole scene with
It has to
every
be
single one
ad-libbed.
of them finding out who their Hollywood counterpart is worth it. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling anything for anybody that hasn't seen this season yet. However, I will say that they are actually putting out trailers with this scene with Zach Galifianakis
Yeah, they did,
interacting
yeah.
with Martin Short.
You think
So,
it was ad lib
this
between
is-
him and Martin Short? A lot of it,
I wouldn't
You
be
got-
surprised.
yeah,
because
I
they're
mean,
both great ad libbers, and I was just
Yeah.
like going, "That was funny."
yeah.
was-
He's like, "Are you trying to between the two ferns me or something like that?"
Yeah, like, yeah.
So,
I mean,
um,
that couldn't have been written. That had to be just.
I also like that the victim in this season we actually have a little bit of attachment to.
yes,
You know,
yes.
so I like that aspect of it, that it's a character that we've known.
It ups the ante in a way where it feels like more real or personal, like that their lives are in danger. So,
Right.
and I have
Well,
only
and
seen the first
one is-
first. I've only seen the first episode. So,
Okay.
I was excited when it was. I was like, oh, I'm gonna, and then I was like, oh, there's only one episode. So,
I always say, how are they gonna continue going? And I
Right.
go, wow, they really have. First two episodes, they really have knocked out.
They done, yeah. Like I mean, the first season is the only one that has like 100% Rotten Tomatoes. All three of the other ones are 96. So I was like, you know, you're doing well if it's just a steady
Yeah,
excellence.
it was Steve Martin's range of an actor is really showing.
yes,
And, I just the three of them work really well together.
Mhm.
Because
I can't-
the original pairing, we go, okay, you got Martin Short, you got Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez. I go, wait, they're all together?
Yeah,
I remember I go, well, that's not good, but it works. It works great.
I
It's like
remember.
the buffer between the two.
Yeah, exactly. I remember thinking that, like, Selena Gomez, really? I was like, that's going to be interesting between
This-
two legends, you know, like,
Yeah.
and then like she has held her own and done such a great job, you know.
Yeah.
There's a really funny line too from that first episode where her character, and again, I'm trying not to spoil anything, so but her character is basically remarking to somebody else about like, oh hey, like why was I, you know,
Yeah.
there's a certain person that's playing her in the movie. I'm trying not to give it away or what they're planning on doing, but
She's a little older,
A little bit.
she's a little older, and
but
she
she
kind of
says, but she always says, "I'm only two." But she doesn't look.
she
that
says, well, they tested it and they just found it to be too creepy that you're like this young
20
hanging out with
years,
these,
yeah.
these two old guys. So I
Yeah,
really
30
really
30
hilarious.
years, or
So-
probably closer to 40 years. Yeah. Wow.
But if you haven't watched Only Murders, totally worth a binge because you could really go through the first 3 seasons pretty quickly. There's 10 episodes and they're only about
And
30
they have
minutes
some
long.
great co-stars, great,
Really
and
great
there's
writing.
some really good twists.
I really would like them to bring in the podcaster fans in another episode because I like
Yeah.
I like that episode because
Mhm.
that's what it's like. You know, like
Yeah.
you have those people that are just so diehard listening to your podcast. That's like, who are you? But they know every aspect of
We
your
used to
life.
have Randy.
Used to, yeah.
I don't know. I offended him. I said, you know, we're not reading your emails anymore, Randy.
Was it
Speaking
you?
of emails,
That's true. That's true.
let's
Matt. Yeah.
let's do our third commercial break and just get it the fuck out of the way, okay? Let's just get this fucking third commercial break
Fine.
out of the
Get
way.
it out.
Do it. Matt Treist Steve and Martin Short have known each other longer than Selena has been alive. That's pretty interesting.
That's what blows my
that's a long
mind. Is
time.
that the Three Amigos is Martin Short's first movie.
Right.
And
It's the first time they worked together.
right, and they've been friends ever since.
Weren't they
And I
friends
always
with
kind of
Chevy?
felt that. I always kind of felt a little sad though too, because that tells you a lot about Chevy Chase. How like no
No one's
one,
friends with Chevy.
no one's friends.
No,
with
not-
Chevy's
not
still. I mean,
everybody-
I know he's a dick.
Yeah.
But I find him funny.
But I mean, it's like bands, right? Like you could say this band's really great, this band's really fucking great. Let's get them together and make a, and what's it gonna be? Like you only get Bowie and Queen making Under
Like
Pressure,
traveling Wilburys. Like I mean,
right? Like the Traveling Wilburys, like that's ever gonna fucking work?
yeah.
No.
come on.
It's just
Come on.
it's not possible,
Come on.
So
What's your favorite scene in Three Amigos?
I have a
That's
plethora of
there's too many.
pinatas.
Yeah, plethора's
Yeah, if you-
good. Yeah,
But
I mean, there's so many like good things that are in it because I definitely like my I like the singing. I like
Yeah.
I even
I like all of the miming part
Yeah.
of like the yeah.
the singing bush.
Mhm.
The invisible- the
I even
invisible-
like little.
was it
I even
Invisible
like little.
Horseman?
The
When he shoots up in the air and he kills the
the invisible swordsman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sword.
tip 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 tip. Like all this, like the stupid shit they did.
You're not supposed to shoot in the air.
We shot up, and then even like at the end, it's like how dumb they are. Like Steve, when they're saying goodbye and he's talking to her and he's like, "I'll come back someday," and she goes, "Why?"
Why?
It's like, like it's just like there's so many good things. Like even like when El Guapo gets the guns for the first
Guapo.
time, and he's like, "Who's that up there?" And he's like, "That's Paco." He's like, "Paco, take off your hat," and like he puts it out. He's like, "Hiya!" And then he just shoots Paco. Like, what the fuck, like.
My favorite scenes though when they're going through the desert and
Mm.
they don't have any. Steve Martin has no water,
Yeah.
and then Martin Short is all dirt, and then Chevy Chase.
Like
Is,
he just sand pops out of his thing.
yeah, and then Chevy
I
Chase is like this going, and he throws the thing on the ground. And goes,
Yeah.
"Lip balm?"
Lip balm, yeah, he's
The-
got lip balm.
The one
That's
line,
that's my favorite scene in the whole.
Huh.
the one line I probably say the most from that film, because it has to be perfect, it has to be a certain situation, is if I'm out to eat a certain kind of food,
And there's a plane.
and I'll be eating something, and I go, "Do you have anything besides Mexican food?" Just like there's so many good just stuff that's in there.
Such
that's
a
so
good movie.
Or was it Steve Martin gets shot right with a rehearsing?
I've been
All right. Who's in charge of the guns? I guess that's kind of relevant today, though.
Yeah. I like the line where he's like, look up here, look up here, look up here.
right.
So
I mean, yeah. And then like to me, there's two classic, like because like if people forget about Spies Like Us, which came out the same year,
Mhm.
and it's like, but both of those to me are like they're almost like twin films, but
Right.
they're both just great.
Like I
Yeah.
remember as a kid, like trying to match the song of like the three.
Can you carry the note? Yeah.
yeah, it's the same note for like 40 seconds. Migos.
The guy that played El Guapo, I'm watching Gunsmoke. I was doing a rewatch of Gunsmoke about a year ago. I go, who is that guy? It was him, same
Hmm.
actor.
He's also in Romance New Stone.
Yes,
Is he?
yes, he's the guy who's got the Land Rovers.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I haven't
Little-
seen
my-
Romance
that's
in
my
Stone
little mule.
forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, it's probably been 30 years since I've seen that.
Because that's one of the most interesting twists, because he's like they asked to borrow his phone, and he pulls the gun, he's like hit the road, and then he happens to say his name, he's like, he's doing Wilder, and the fact that he's reading all these hard ass drug dealer guys romance novels, like, you're like, what the fuck?
Oh shit! I just checked him out real quick. He was the voice of Papa Julio in Coco, that Disney movie.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Huh.
That's kind of fun.
How old is he now? He's got to be in his like 70s,
He's
right?
gotta be, he's gotta be really old. He was old then.
Also, the My Little Buttercup song.
My
That
little
whole-
buttercup.
That whole scene, and then like when the Germans come in, and then like,
Hey, look at these little sissies. And that's another testament to the talent.
it's sad that the movie didn't garner as much attention at the time. It
No,
became
it
a cult
wasn't
classic.
it wasn't
It
a
is a
huge
cult
hit.
classic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still tell that joke too when I see a plane. I go like, I think it's a mail
Yeah.
plane. You know.
Yeah.
Well, when we had was it Chevy Chase was singing in the desert?
Yeah, and that's what I was
And then
about
all
to say.
all the animals came in.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Boom, boom, boom.
I wish-
and all the songs in that film are written by Randy Newman, and that's
Oh,
one
okay,
of the,
that's
that
right,
makes
yeah.
sense. That
because
makes sense.
think about like
Yep.
you can totally hear him going like Arizona like, or moon keep shining, or you can hear
Mhm.
just hearing it in his voice like we are the three amigos, like it's very Randy Newman. The only way you can hear his
fun
version.
fact.
Yeah.
El Guapo, Alfonso Arau, was in a movie in 1970 called Tres Amigos.
No.
Oh,
Not the same movie,
That's fascinating.
isn't it?
Another
you
thing.
can't make that shit up.
No, you can't. And it's funny too because trace and then after that becomes 3, you know. Sorry, I'm just playing dumb humor.
Just like all the lines that are in that film are just classic anyway. Like I still
Yeah.
often say like the infamous, like
Mhm.
we're so famous, we're infamous.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it explains a lot of my humor.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny
So,
movie.
I
wild and
definitely
wacky.
think that's definitely a generational humor. Like I mean, as in like our generation.
It probably wouldn't hold up today, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, like people just don't think stuff is. I mean, I have, as you know, Jack, and a lot of you guys do, Bill, too. Like, I have a very dark sense of humor, and anything that's
yeah,
like
we
that,
heard about your rant about the French.
Yeah, fuck the French. No, shut up.
So you're Mel Gibson and Patriot. Fuck the French.
We were supposed to have an email, right?
No, we've got like another 10 minutes before we get to that.
Wait, we could start with the email now just to kind of get maybe it's a long email. Maybe we got to respond to it with like, I'm curious because basically in Facebook we were informed that there's an email and I do not want to miss this opportunity. I mean, my fellow podcaster here, Nick, is more than willing to not read this email, but I would like it read.
I'm not crossing that email.
Did you just refer to me as if I was an invisible swordsman to your left?
I waited until this time of the night to start drinking my gin drink. So from here on out, it's Wildcard City. So
I was at a bar this weekend, and they had the bee's
No.
knees as one of their specialties.
Oh,
And I was like,
really?
"Ooh."
Bee's knees.
Oh.
Still haven't had a bee's knees.
Still didn't order it.
honey, lemon, and vodka, I believe, right? Or was it
Honey,
gin?
lemon, and vodka.
I can't remember. But
I thought
Um,
I thought it was gin.
yeah, it could have been. I like gin. I'm a gin.
That's
gin
what I'm
drinker.
saying. I know you like your gin, so
But this is gin and ginger ale. So just
Oh.
doubling down on the gin. Ginge. So
What
I
kind
have
of gin-
never
what
had
gin-
that combination.
what kind of ginger ale?
it's a ginger beer by Fever Tree.
Oh, I was thinking
So-
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Canada
Yeah,
Dry
the,
or
the Fever Tree.
Swisher,
ginger
Swisher, whatever it is.
They
Schweppes.
Schweppes. Yeah, Schweppes is a.
That's what I have in my refrigerator. I don't know why I couldn't remember.
I like the stronger the ginger flavor. Like I like that biting.
You
kind
like
of-
ginger dressing?
Is it red?
It's more of a. I thought. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. There's this.
Do we have an email?
Nick said we couldn't read it.
I did not say we couldn't read it. I just said,
whoa. I heard we got to wait 10 minutes before we read this email.
just saying, we usually wait to the very end, right when Chris and Matt are about ready to pull out their hair. Like,
I'm there. I'm
But-
already there.
And
I
then,
beat
He's
you
got
to
the
it.
He's
I
got the
beat you
Sunday
to it.
scaries.
Yeah,
I'm just
I gotta go to work tomorrow.
I'm just looking out for my fellow compadre here. My
Hey,
fellow
amigo.
Franklin amigo.
Fellow San Diego Padre.
who?
Compadre. Padres. Never mind.
Oh, I see what
You're
you're
gonna win
doing.
the- you're gonna win the World Series this year.
Really?
Did you guys know?
Yeah.
So that's like saying he's got a no hitter going.
Did you guys know that the Rockies aren't going to make the playoffs?
It's a shock.
The who?
They're one of the worst run organizations in baseball.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just,
Well, you
I
got
just
well, you
joke.
got the
They never
A's,
make the
well, the White
playoffs.
Sox. You got the White Sox.
Yeah.
They may not win 40 games. You know why?
That's
Because
awful.
they want to move the team.
Right.
Oh,
They're
Well, I
tanking
guess
on
there's only
purpose.
one thing to do then:
fail up.
win the whole fucking thing.
Yes.
Let's win the whole fucking thing.
Win the
Hey,
whole fucking
speaking of
thing.
which, we're getting more Ted Lasso.
That's
They're
right.
in, they're in talks for season 4.
That was Major
like-
League, Matt. But it wasn't Ted Lasso.
It's true.
But I'm
No,
all
Ted
for it.
Ted Lasso. He says, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna come back and we're gonna win the whole fucking thing.
Oh, okay.
Does
But
he
And-
really?
It's
And
from-
Ted Lasso references Major League, so it's a big.
I missed a
I-
Major League
I-
quote by Ted Lasso.
You are
It's in
correct.
there. He says, like, I think it's at the end of the season 1. Like, he's just like, because she says, like,
Oh my
no,
god, I
like,
love that
yeah.
show so much more.
And he says, like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna like come back because they get knocked
whole-
out.
Fucking thing.
I'm almost positive because that's why that's.
So are they going to put a big poster of what's her name, the blonde owner? I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Could you
Rebecca.
imagine?
They're going to have Rebecca, and every time they get a win, they pull a piece of the clothing off.
I mean, basically, major.
I'd be
Ted
okay
Lasso
with it.
is a
It's
some major
exactly
league
what it is.
DNA.
It's Major League.
Yeah.
In British terms.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But excited about that. More Ted Lasso.
I
Oh,
never
and
caught
also-
the actual reference in the show. That's
You
interesting.
guys also
I
might,
do remember it now. Go ahead.
They're making a Peaky Blinders movie for Netflix.
I knew that. I knew that was going to be a movie because
I love that show.
I'm going to have to do a rewatch on that show here soon.
Hmm.
In a while.
Okay.
Blinders. Author.
So now I'll read the email.
Has it been 10 minutes?
Huzzah!
What? Jack?
Has it been 10 minutes?
No,
Yep.
still got about 3.5. But okay. Hey, Jack, Nick, Matt, and Chris.
Ooh, the bottom billing. I like this one already.
I've got some random feedback I've been meaning to send. I don't remember any of this stuff, so it must have been the episode I missed. But I don't know. You mentioned the Three Musketeers with Charlie Sheen recently.
We did.
Three
Sheen.
Three
I don't
Musketeers.
remember talking about Three Musketeers.
I don't remember it was Charlie Sheen. I mean,
I don't
I remember
remember
talking
the
about Three
Three-
Musketeers,
Three Mus-
but I thought it
Talked
was
about the
the one
Brat
with Raquel
Pack.
Welch.
No.
I do
Three
like I do
Musketeers?
like the Three Musketeers from the 90s. You know, that was a good one. Anyway, this is one of my favorite movies. I watched this
Oh.
movie all the time as a kid. I quote it all the time. You can't have any. You're too young, which is when he's drinking the brandy and I think
Oh.
D'Artagnan tries to
Later, was he in that
Who?
movie?
Which one? Who?
The Three Musketeers.
Three Musketeers from the 90s. It's Kiefer Sutherland, Oliver Platt.
I'm thinking of Robin Hood.
Oh yeah, I do
Men in
remember the Three
Tights.
Musketeers from the 90s.
But
I do-
Kiefer,
I do-
what's his
Curry.
name? What the fuck?
I mean, it's
Who
a
did I
good
say?
one. The
I gotta
Disney
look
Three
at the
Musketeers is
IMDb.
really good. I like it.
Oh fuck.
I'm looking it up now.
So apparently we didn't talk about this because then you guys remember.
I don't remember talking
Oh,
about this. I'm
fucking-
not calling our listener a liar.
Christian Slater did fucking Unfrosted.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
Maybe it was that you talked about it when I wasn't here.
but I thought it was when I wasn't here because I don't remember talking about it either. The only thing the only time I remember, which I don't even know if I even brought that up, is that my nephew was doing like
Your nephew, the goon.
no, the other one was doing a improv, and some young lady was like saying something. I would rather die, and he comes back, and goes, "That can be arranged," which he's never seen Three Musketeers, but that is exactly he said it exactly what Tim Curry says it in that film, and so I was like, "Holy shit!" Just funny how
How's your nephew?
that one is 16 now. He was 15, I think.
I didn't know you had two nephews.
Yeah, I got one's 16, one's 13.
And you don't pay attention to their ages?
Never.
I thought you had a niece. So
Three.
it's two nephews.
I just have two nephews. Yeah.
All right, then I apologize.
Three Musketeers that
And
came out
Oliver
in
Platt.
1993.
Yeah. that's a
Oliver,
good
yeah,
one.
Oliver
And,
Platt and Chris O'Donnell, who
yeah,
becomes Robin.
And then of course Chris O'Donnell's D'Artagnan, and then Tim Curry's the Cardinal, and then the typical stereotypical
I've
villain.
seen this.
I forget what his character's name is, like Rochewood or something like that. Got an eye
Ro-
patch. He's
Rochefort,
Rochefort, yeah.
played by Michael Wincott.
Michael Wincott. It was the stereotypical villain in just about every film from like the late 80s to the early 90s. You know, he's in The Crow. He was in it's just everything back then. And then he just kind of dropped off the planet.
The Crow talking about blinks. All right.
Anyway, shall I continue?
Soon.
I got one
Yeah,
sentence. All right. The cast is full of stars. I own it on DVD. Around the same time, I was obsessed with The Three Musketeers. I was also obsessed with Batman Forever, the movie and the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
It was such
Soundtrack
a good,
was great.
it was such
That's
a good
Seal,
soundtrack.
right?
It's the one with Seal, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a bit over the top? The soundtrack is not available on Apple Music, which is odd. I looked when you mentioned it.
Lots of soundtracks, by the way.
There's a lot
Are
of
not of it.
a Chris O'Donnell theme here as well.
It kind of
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Lots of soundtracks though not available on Apple Music. This is one of those things where if you really like a soundtrack, Life Aquatic with Steve Sisu. I talked about this last week. Amazing soundtrack, but you basically have to own a copy, put it in your computer, upload those MP3s, and download it onto your.
But if you like that French gentleman who sung most of the songs, the David Bowie songs, you can buy on iTunes his record.
Portuguese?
Yeah, Portuguese. It's Portuguese. Yeah, you can buy his record where he does a shit ton of David Bowie covers. So that's worth it.
Well, yeah, good reference there. But anyway, sorry, just to segue slightly about soundtracks, and it's one of those things like if you can go into like a UCD store, you know, or if you just want to pop on eBay and you really like that soundtrack, just buy the fucking like CD and load it on your computer, because it's pretty much the only way that you can get all of those songs together collected into a playlist.
I remember, I think you can get it easier now, but I remember probably 20 years ago, maybe over, probably 25 probably. My dad always loved GI Blues with Elvis, and that's the only way you can find a Pocket Full of Rainbows, which is a ballad that he sang, which is actually a really good song if you guys have never heard it. But the only way you can get that song is if you have the GI Blues soundtrack. It's never been on any other Elvis.
Elvis?
I've never heard that song.
Yeah, and it's the only it's
Elvis GI Blues.
GI Blues, yeah, Elvis.
Okay.
But like the song is Pocket Full of Rainbows, but but that soundtrack you could
Thank
not
you.
find.
He's Brazilian.
Brazilian. Thanks, Matt and Teresa.
Well, you know, Nick
Where they
hates
speak
French.
Portuguese.
Well, yeah, it's I can't tell. It's all Latin-based language.
No follow Portuguese.
What's going on in Brazil that the NFL's players are worried about playing a game down there?
It's fucking crime.
Yeah,
Crazy.
they switched governments to basically a communist country now, or more socialist than communist, but and so
socialists and communists are completely different.
Well, they're sort of.
They're French.
Fuck. Here we go.
Anyway,
I'm just saying they're different. So, Teresa's saying Life Aquatic is on Spotify.
I just looked at a lot of players don't want to even go to the game.
I'm just saying that the Apple
told not to leave the hotel.
Well, think about this, Jack. Like, so
it's tough to play the game.
Argentina, basically, since World War II, switched to a socialist type government, and then now with their new president, he basically just removed it all, and then so Brazil did the opposite. Like it's like they switched spots.
Okay,
and so it's just a lot of upheaval. I haven't been paying attention, so I was like going.
NFL is basically just they've reached peak market saturation in the U.S. and they've been working on this for 10 years now, Jack, to go kind of worldwide with NFL.
Yeah, Germany. I get like.
I mean, they continually.
You can't send them where it's not safe,
right?
And like they went down to Mexico. Was it Mexico? And they went down that field.
There's people living there that.
I mean, that's why they moved them to the Raiders to Las Vegas.
It was right there.
That's why they wouldn't let them go to LA.
Right.
even though they're the most popular team in LA. Should have been the Raiders.
I think they're more concerned about what the players are going to get in trouble they're going to get into. But
I don't know.
like they're like, oh, you're going to Brazil. You're probably going to want to get a Brazilian wax while you're there.
Who wouldn't?
On your balls.
On your ball.
That would be painful.
All right, there's more to this email.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's why we should have started at 10 fucking minutes ago.
I was with Matt.
I wasn't the one that just keeps interrupting and rambling on about.
Okay.
Okay. My best friend and I used to quote Batman Forever to each other as we rollerbladed down her driveway and across the street to our neighbor's driveway. Okay.
That sounds so 90s.
Yeah, for real.
Completely.
It's actually 80s, I think, right?
No, rollerblading is 90s. Roller skating is 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not all into Xanadu, Jack, like you. Okay. Can he hit that high note again, Jack? Can he go? The place where nobody did
That's the one where they put nipples on the suit, isn't it?
Yes. Well,
Batman
that's Batman
Robin.
and Batman Robin. Yeah.
Yeah, Batman Forever doesn't have nipples. Batman and Robin does.
Yeah.
Batman Forever is Val Kilmer. It's the only Val
Kilmer.
Kilmer one.
Yeah.
And
then George
Joker,
Clooney is the
Two-Face.
next one. Yeah. Which Batman and Robin is just utterly horrible.
It's just a.
It basically killed.
It killed Batman for a long time.
But it killed Alicia Silverstone as well as Chris O'Donnell.
Chris O'Donnell, yeah.
Like both of their careers just ended there.
Yep. It's amazing that Uma Thurman was able to like pull out of that like shit show.
Yeah.
Because she was Poison Ivy, and then you had.
She actually did a pretty good job of Poison Ivy.
She did okay, yeah. So
I mean, I think Kill Bill is what gave her an out, because I definitely like Gattaca, which that was also a cult.
Oh yeah, Gattaca's great.
Gattaca's great. Kill Bill's great. But then she got injured on Kill Bill Volume 2, and that basically killed her career because she was so physically harmed on set. But,
it's life can change with an injury like that.
Okay. Jack mentioned meditating recently. I have been meditating for a few years now. It really helps me. You are never going to turn off or stop thinking. You are never. That's
was it me?
That's what it says. I don't remember you talking about meditation either, Jack.
Dude, Chris O'Donnell. I'm sorry, Chris O'Donnell's in Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he is in Batman Forever.
That's where he starts. But then that girl joins in the next one.
Yeah, I almost 100% certain that the nipples are on his suit.
They are, but I think those are in the next one.
Okay, I'm just gonna type it in and Google it.
Just type in Batman.
Did Batman suit get nipples? I mean, it seems pretty clear that Google should answer this.
George Clooney.
The 1995 film Batman Forever.
Okay, so Chris is right.
You know what? This is the podcast in which we all get showed up.
Sorry, I'm sitting here half baked, and I'm like, I fucking know this.
You know what?
You never forget a nipple when you see one. Yeah.
Never forget.
I am wondering though when Jack is meditating. Are you listening to a future podcast?
I know.
Shit! Going back to my theory, this is like further on down the timeline.
Yeah, there you go.
We just got like whoop. We got a little. Shit, we got 1.21 gigawatt right there. That was crazy.
Well, she writes that line that confused me. But she wrote, "You are never going to turn off or stop thinking." But that's the whole point of meditation: is to try to learn how to turn off your mind, relax, and.
Oh, I remember it now.
Well, but I mean, I sometimes meditate on a thought or an idea. So, I mean, yes. True, like Buddhist Zen, like you're supposed to push everything and like basically focus on nothing. However, sometimes I might especially if I have a migraine or a headache, sometimes I'll like visualize a place so that I can kind of like relieve the pain in my head. And it's just a way that I can kind of like try to manage pain when I have no control over it. So, but anyway, that's my meditate. I'm sorry. I should have waited to drink gin until we were off the air.
Okay.
I did mention meditating because you guys were talking about drugs.
Oh, that's why we
meditating?
paid attention to you because
I do remember it now. Okay, she's not crazy.
All right. So you're never gonna
And
stop
Val
thinking.
Kilmer's Batman suit had nipples.
He required it.
He said that it would make him look more Iceman.
He put ice on his nipples. That's what it was.
Okay, so you're never going to stop thinking. You just notice that you are thinking and going back to focusing on your breath. I have counted my breaths and only meditate for a minute. It is a muscle, and you get better with practice. My 2 cents on meditating.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, like it is hard. Like, I'm sure Matt's probably done it more than I have, but yeah, I mean that's true. Like to me, like you either focus on a spot on the wall, or you close your eyes and then you kind of picture a pattern. Like that's why like a lot of Buddhist and Hindu and a lot of that stuff has like these really weird patterns, and you kind of focus and let your brain kind of go into the pattern, and then try to cut off those thoughts just to get into that flow. And that's how it's always worked for me. But anyway,
Far out, man.
Yeah, no,
Far out.
I've definitely. Never mind. I won't talk anymore. Go ahead.
Okay, one more paragraph. I'm not sure if I have mentioned this before, but my dad was in the Navy. In the Navy. And he worked on submarines. He was the captain of a submarine in San Diego.
San Diego.
He was a captain.
A captain.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
I have been on a Tiger cruise where family members are allowed to be on the boat as it goes out to sea for the day. That's really cool.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I would not want to be on a submarine for more than a few hours. There is not a lot of space. Submarines are cool, but I would rather visit one at the pier than be on one for more than a day. My dad would be gone for 6 months sometimes. We did have Thanksgiving dinner on a sub when my dad was the captain. My mom didn't want to cook that year. Oh, right, for Thanksgiving. And the cooks on the boat were award-winning. Wow, that's nice. Thanks for the laughs and the TV recommendations. Maggie the Magnificent.
Maggie,
that's a fucking cool ass story, dude.
Yeah.
Also, I think your dad might be a spy. He was gone for 6 months at a time. Like that's
That's
espionage level, like deep.
A spy for us or a spy
It's definitely,
for...
it's
I don't
definitely a
know,
nuclear
but
submarine. Yeah.
You know, ask
nuclear.
him, did he go to the underwater?
Not
entrance to
nuclear.
the inner Earth and
Nuclear.
Antarctica?
Nope,
Did he
that's
do
it.
that? Okay.
Nope.
Let's say
It's
nuclear.
nuclear.
Nuclear. I
Nuclear.
just said nuclear.
You said nuclear, like
physical.
George Bush Jr. said it.
That's the way Southerners say it. Nuclear.
Well, he wasn't.
You're nuclear.
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 My wife, she
Just keep
sometimes
fucking with
will
Matt
say,
so he can't say it. No.
she'll say album.
Album.
Like she puts like 2 L's in there, like one before L, before the B and after. And it's one of those things that I just fuck with her about, because she'll say from time to time, and I'll just like call her out on it. I'm like, you teach our youth and our children, our schools, and you're saying that. So
It's like,
anyway.
I think a lot of kids, like when they say their ABCs, they don't say LMNOP. They say
Elemento.
Elemento.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's a spoken word. It's a magical word. Anyway, thanks,
I had
Maggie,
one, I had
for
one
that
last thing I
email.
had to say.
Okay.
I forgot. My back is really bad, so when I get up, I hold my back like this to try and straighten up.
Yeah.
My youngest grandson is now impersonating me.
oh,
He walks around like this, going. He goes,
you know what you should do? You should do the George Costanza pose on the couch.
He likes to imitate, and I didn't know he was doing it, but he was doing it at home. So my daughter filmed it. He goes, "Your grandson is imitating you," and I said, "Oh, okay." So he did today. Gets up, goes, I go, "You little dick."
It reminds me though.
It hurts.
When on Modern Family, when Jay's son, his youngest son that comes in, he starts imitating his dad, like yelling and screaming at
I
things and
just
stuff.
watched that episode.
Oh, did you?
I
Okay.
rewatched, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know where you were on your rewatch.
Yeah,
or
I just
so.
watched it.
It tends to be more of a background show than like Friends. And like I know Nick, like in your household, like Friends kind of can be like a background show, especially at the holidays and stuff like that. So, for whatever reason, Modern Family is like it's like our background show that we'll just kind of put on, or my wife will put on, especially when like we're not all together. Like it's like all four of us as a family unit, like when we're together, we'll have our show that we're like kind of watching. And so right now we've been on a binge of 30 Rock. We're almost done with 30 Rock. We're on the sixth season. Is it the sixth?
Oh,
anyway, interesting things about 30 Rock on a rewatch. There's a lot of specific references to things where when you watch now, you're like, I guess that was a thing. I don't remember that thing anymore. So they feel a little out of date and a little kind of like out of sync. And there are certain things and elements in 30 Rock where I'm like, I don't know if they're making fun of Black people or if they're allowing Black people to make fun of this. Like it walks a line sometimes where I'm like, I don't know if this is racist or so not racist that because of the way that it's approaching this. So
that was the dilemma with Chappelle Show as well.
Okay.
That's where him and his head writer, who was a white guy, but he was like really good friends with him.
Yeah,
is that there was a lot of racial humor that was in it.
Yeah,
that was great.
No one complained about it at the time, right?
At the time, but like Dave Chappelle though, it said that like going into the third season, that's where like the rift, aside from just the pressure and the money and all this other stuff, because the rift between him and his friend that was the writer, he felt that he was kind of doubling down too much on these racial jokes to where it's like, this is no longer going to be funny as in we're making fun of everyone because of these things. Instead of more like reinforcing a stereotype.
Right.
And so it's just, it's always a fine line.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there are certain things like Queen of Jordan episodes that do it in such a way that are really great. So seeing Tracy's wife like kind of put Liz in her place is actually like kind of gratifying and satisfying. So anyway, it is also weird too, just politically watching it. And being like, ooh, you guys don't know what's to come, but like some of the things that they reference and some of the things, and especially Jack, because he's very, he's very conservative in his ways. So it's an interesting rewatch for sure.
They don't get Jack like
that's what was so funny. Like even in, what's the name of that movie? The Departed, where, because he's like the CIA or FBI or whatever agent he is, and knowing just Alec Baldwin and what his politics are, and then that part where they're spying on someone, he grabs the guy's like Patriot Act, Patriot. It's like to me that was one of the funniest parts. It was like
there's an episode that we just had where Billy, I think it's Billy Baldwin, it's one of his brothers basically is going to play Jack's character on a movie that they're making basically. So it's within the show 30 Rock. It's funny because it's his brother being him, and it's just a funny like little meta moment there, and they do that, and when they do it well, it works like perfectly. It's like ooh, but sometimes certain things you're just like that didn't quite land. But my kids enjoy Kenneth a lot. And
they didn't like Kenneth.
No, they like Kenneth.
Oh,
Kenneth is like one of their favorite characters in the show. Kind of holds. He's kind of like the glue heart of the show, even though he says some of the most racist, weird things. So, anyway, that's my little tangent. Shouldn't have drank gin at the end of the show.
I don't think he ever said what state he's from. You should know he's from the South. Anyway, one of you, Jack or Chris, was mentioning something about a newsroom type show about 30 minutes ago. Anyway, but it made me think of, because I know that you guys like West Wing so much, and it made me think of The Newsroom, which is a Sorkin show that still to this day never got
Sorkin show.
Huh?
That was my first experience with an Aaron Sorkin show. Yeah,
but it's a show that we were talking about, like shows that have kind of fallen by the wayside. That's one of the shows that was really good.
Fucking
no
amazing.
one talks about it. Like no one remembers it. No one.
I remember it. It was on HBO, wasn't it?
It was on HBO. Yeah.
It It was an HBO like kind of because it had a higher level of production. It kind of
I think it's only 3 seasons, maybe two.
It
or
was
three.
so
Is
fucking
it that
good.
long?
Yeah.
it almost feels like a more adult version of the morning show in a way.
Mhm. That's
Like,
it. That's
and
what I
I-
think was the morning show.
And I'm not crapping on the morning show. I like the morning show because it has certain elements that are like, but that other show, like I remember watching it. So, yeah, to that point, good.
That's what made me think of it because you guys were talking about the morning show. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I always liked the newsroom because it was kind of dealing. It's kind of like what you're saying. It's one of those that's dealing with the stuff at the time.
Yes.
So like in hindsight, it might not be as good, but
True.
It was 5 or 7
Jeff
seasons.
Daniels was so fucking good in that
It lasted
show.
5 to 7 seasons.
was it 5 to 7? No, not the newsroom. Couldn't be 5 to 7. No,
I'm
I know-
looking.
I
it
know I
up.
didn't
I
watch
got
it all.
I got to fact check.
I
Matt
felt that was
Gage.
Dude, that
short,
was
though.
such a good. I'm gonna have to rewatch that show. Oh,
What starts
man.
off good? It starts off with Jeff Daniels answering
that's
the
what-
question.
yeah, on stage, the Q&A. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
that was the whole promo and what getting people to watch it. Yeah, because he basically
Uh,
kills his career, but then it recovers and
There's 3
I'm
seasons.
I'm sorry to see that it was just 3 seasons.
yeah. So I thought 3.
yeah.
Yeah.
So 25 episodes. So, but anyway, we're probably at the end of this show. We went a little long there, probably because of the gin. I apologize for that to my fellow podcasters and specifically.
Oh no,
Chris.
West Wing. No. West Wing. Yeah, that was a long.
West Wing was 7 seasons.
If you have an email like Maggie the Magnificent did, send us an email to rcadcast@gmail.com. We would appreciate a line.
And,
Even
and,
if you're somebody that joins us in the chat, like on the show live, feel free to drop us a line.
and if you
Not
do
Randy.
write us an email, do us a favor and write either in the headline or the first line, read before the gin or after the gin. That would help. That would help us a lot.
I almost wanted to read this first thing just to kind of like make sure that we got to everything. So, anyway, send us your feedback. Thank you everyone that joins us live in the chat. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Ramblecast After Dark. And thanks for some patrons that make this show possible. And they help pay our podcasters and keep the lights on. So thank you to Maggie the Magnificent for also being a patron, as well as Joanne with the master plan, Ed, the creepy poopy letter carrier that I don't think is that dark and nasty. And then, of course, Eckhart, Richter, Gladfelter. Thank you for doing what you do. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week, probably on Thursday again. So, but we'll see. Good night.
Wow. Good night. Okay.
All right,
See you.
or goodbye. I don't. What should I?
That's
what
not your
did you-
normal sign off. I mean, so yeah.
Oh yeah, this was a great show, kids. It was 1 in a million.
Hey.
Low energy.